Can you sell food out of your home in New Mexico? And what exactly are New Mexico's cottage food laws? So in this video, we are going to dive into a handful of information on how to get started selling food from your home in New Mexico. They actually do have a cottage food law on the books, and we're going to dive into that in Cottage Foods Laws, YouTube's premier food entrepreneur channel for cottage food businesses. And we're going to get to that right now. All right, so welcome back to Cottage Foods Laws. This is YouTube's premier food entrepreneur channel dedicated solely to the homemade food entrepreneur. And in this podcast, which we will go ahead and upload onto our YouTube channel as well, we're going to talk all about New Mexico's cottage food laws. What can you make? How much can you make? Where can you sell it? And actually, what can you sell? And how much in dollar amount can you actually sell? So you'd be quite surprised at some of this information. The first thing we're going to dive into actually is the different areas that you can sell to. So in New Mexico's cottage food laws, you are allowed to sell at farmers markets. We've got roadside stands. You can also sell it from home. Some people actually don't mind people coming to their home, picking up their food products, but you can sell actually out of your home. Believe it or not, in New Mexico, their cottage food laws allow you to actually sell online. But the only thing is that you need to have someone either pick it up in person or you have to deliver it to them in person. Now, in order to do that, it really gets a little costly, if you will. If you're going to sell a product and in the state of New Mexico, you drive halfway across the state to drop off a product, that doesn't make sense. So I would stick to local venues like farmers markets, roadside stands, and selling out of your home. Now, what kind of a service can you allow? Of course, home pickup is one, as we discussed before. Delivering is, of course, making sense only if you have enough of a dollar amount transaction for you to actually deliver to the customer. And of course, mail order online, but it has to be within the state of New Mexico itself. You don't want to be obviously delivering a product that someone bought for $20 and it costs you about $50 in gas. So stick to local venues, and then the way that you can transact between you and your customer in person really truly is the only profitable way to do this. Now, some of the things that you can't do. So what's prohibited as far as where to sell it from? Of course, you can't sell your homemade cottage food products in New Mexico to a retail store. That is something that's prohibited. Some states do allow this, but specifically in New Mexico, they do not. Another great place that would have been good if they had added it would have been restaurants, but you can't sell your cottage foods to restaurants also in the state of New Mexico. The other thing that you can't is wholesale. This is a big opportunity. Wholesale is a really great way to sell a bulk amount of product at a bulk price, obviously, a bulk price point, but that is something that's prohibited as well. So let's dive into what kind of foods can you sell from home in New Mexico. Now, this is a really big list. You're talking about bagels, brownies, cookies and cupcakes, cake pops, biscuits, breads, cakes, donuts, wedding cakes as well, tortilla chips or different types of chips, also rolls and macaroons. So that is a portion of what you can sell through your cottage food law in New Mexico, as well as the following. Candies. So you've got a variety of candies, anything from like fudge, you can even do like candy, cotton corn, chocolates, lollipops, brittles, nut brittles and such. Truffles and buttercream frostings even. But keep in mind that you can't sell buttercream frostings that have to be time or temperature sensitive, things that would be potentially hazardous. It has to be kept at a certain temperature for it to be good. Those are the types of things you can't sell. Also honeys and syrups, vinegars, nut butters, even oils, which is huge. Either flavor infused oils or those that you make from small batches. Those are also allowed as well. Now, dry things such as herbs, seasoning, and spices, that's huge. You can even sell tea leaves and mixes, dried fruits and coffee beans, pasta noodles and veggies that are dried as well. The spices and seasonings, that is a huge business. Of course, globally, that's $1 billion business. Selling it locally, if you have a unique blend of spices or herbs, definitely something that you can do from home in the cottage food law in New Mexico. They have it quite open. Now, the other thing that you can do is hard-boiled eggs and carbonated drinks, empanadas, but the empanadas cannot have any type of, again, proteins such as beef or chicken or cheeses, things that have to be time or temperature sensitive, danishes, pies as well. Tamales you can do as well in New Mexico, fruit butters, jams and jellies, marmalades, and other preserves. But keep in mind the preserves, as far as, again, potentially hazardous products. Don't be adding anything or infusing something that can either change the pH or inhibit bacterial growth, okay? Also snacks. So things like nuts and seeds, you can sell as a cottage food law or cottage food item through the cottage food law of New Mexico. Granolas, marshmallows, veggie chips, popcorns, kettle corn, as we discussed before, pretzels, caramel corns, even chocolate-covered fruits are allowed as well. Even chocolate-covered items like pretzels or different types of cookies if you want to coat them in some type of chocolate. Now, what else can I not do, actually? What are some of the prohibited cottage foods under New Mexico's laws? So, perishable baked goods. These would be baked goods, again, that have to be kept at a certain temperature in order to serve it, or even have to be kept at a certain time frame or time or temperature sensitive items. Those are things that cannot be done. Pickles, ketchups, acidic foods, salsas, mustards, even meat jerky such as beef jerky or even chicken jerkies. Those you can't do because there's a certain license needed and processes to make those, but not only to make them, but to make them safe. Candied apples or low acid canned foods and extracts. Those are things that are definitely prohibited. Mexico definitely doesn't want you to make those from home. All right, so let's dive into some of the things that cottage food laws limit you to do under their laws. Number one, now the good thing is they have no sales limit, dollar amount. So how much can you actually sell in dollar amount, Damien? It is unlimited. You can sell as much as you want. Now, with that in mind, you want to make sure a couple of things. These are not required things in some cases. Make sure you have a business license. Make sure you are incorporated, creating an LLC. If you don't know how to do that, I've got all kinds of resources down below this video to help you create your LLC online in like 10 minutes. Also, insurance. Believe it or not, yes, you can get an insurance policy, and you should. Because if you create food products from your home and you're not incorporated, you don't have some type of LLC, you don't have food business insurance, you can be held personally liable for somebody if they get sick or even die from eating one of your products, or if it can be traced back to you and they got very ill and they have a lot of hospital bills, they can sue you. So creating an LLC and insuring that LLC in the cottage food industry, especially in New Mexico, that's going to separate you personally from the liability factor, okay? Now, some things that can't go on while you're creating your cottage foods in your home is children. Children can't be playing or running around or have their hair open or exposed while you're actually producing a cottage food. Make sure that you don't have them all over the place running around while you're doing that. All right, so commercial kitchen products. So these are like commercial mixers, commercial ovens, any type of equipment that would be considered commercial, you cannot have as a cottage food business in your home. You can solely and only use your homemade kitchen where you've got your standard oven, you've got your pots and pans. Now, I would recommend you dedicate a certain amount of equipment specifically for your food business, your cottage food products, okay? Direct sales only. So again, you have to transact it directly with your customer and you have to deliver it to them as well. Also, pets are not allowed. New Mexico's cottage food law states that pets cannot be present, obviously, in the kitchen when you are producing them. Now, some of the legalities and things, as I mentioned before, the business license, they don't necessarily require those types of things, but I would recommend you get them for that purpose. You do have to take a food safety training program, which costs around $10. It's a food handler training course. It's about 2 to 3 hours long. That's something you need to do as well. Excuse me. So in most areas, they don't require any type of permit or licensing in order to operate cottage food in New Mexico. Now, how do you label cottage foods in New Mexico? That's a great question. Let's dive into some of the requirements for cottage foods labeling. Number one, business address. Business address is going to be your home address because that is where you are creating your cottage foods from at home. So your home address does have to be on the label. Next up is your business name. What is the name of the business? This is not the product name. This is the business name. So if it happens to be Damien's Chocolate Chip Cookie Factory, well, then that's what you need to have on there. The business name, email address. They do require an email address. Ingredient listing. Now, when you list your ingredients, you want to make sure that you are creating a list from the most used ingredient down to the least. Okay? Next up, your phone number. That has to be the phone number from your home. Some people have actually created a second phone line in their own home dedicated to their cottage food business, but it's a landline that's obviously directed to their home. You can do that. Product name. So the name of the actual product, if it happens to be cupcakes or chocolate-filled cupcakes or whatever, that has to be on the label. Next one is a statement of disclosure. You need to let the customer know that it's being made at home, not in a facility that's being inspected by any state agencies. It is a homemade product. Make sure that you have that on your label. All right, so in closing, let's recap a few things here. You definitely want to make sure you have all of these items in place. Also, the New Mexico Environment Department specifies that the production requirements, make sure that you just use common sense, keeping things clean and sanitized. Make sure there are no pets and children, of course, and that type of thing. And when you also bring the product to a farmer's market, fair, festival, or something like that, an event, make sure you do it in a sanitary way. Everything has to be prepackaged before you go to an event and offer your food products. So that's going to be pretty much it for the cottage food laws video for New Mexico. If you've got any questions about how to create a business like this in that state, let us know down in the comments. If you've already created one, let us know how it's working for you. And also check out the resources down below. We have podcasts. We even have Facebook groups dedicated to cottage food. We have almost 4,000 members across the country. Basically, you need to click on that link. You can enter that group and then sign up and be a member as well. So I'll see you guys on our next video. Make sure you subscribe. If you've got any family members who are looking to create a cottage food business, let them know about our YouTube channel.